Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Costumeco channel. And today we are doing another costume designer interview. And I am thrilled and delighted to have Dayna Pink with me. I've been watching her career. We were just chatting a little bit about Lovecraft Country, but I'm so excited to have her here to talk about Fallout Season 2. She is the costume designer for that series. And Dayna, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. By the way, are you in LA? Whereabouts are you?
Yep, I'm in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm on the other side of the country. I'm in Toronto.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yes. So hopefully maybe one day you'll come here and do a show. We have a nice little film scene here.
I'm so happy to be home working. It's so nice to be in LA. I feel like we are so lucky that our show films here and we get to
Absolutely.
employ a bunch of people in LA and I get to be home and work. It's a real pleasure.
Wonderful. Now, I just want to get to know you a little bit better and let our audience get to know you. So before we start talking about Fallout, would you mind telling me a bit about yourself and, how you got your start in costume design?
Sure. So I've been doing this forever. I grew up in Detroit and I started working there doing like rock and roll bands and commercials and music videos back in the day. And it was really great. Like Detroit at that time, commercials were bustling. There was a lot of music coming out of Detroit and it was really good. And then I wanted my career to grow, so I moved to Los Angeles and I was still doing the same thing, still musicians, bands, videos. And I did a music video for Tenacious D, which
Oh,
was,
amazing.
yeah, it was awesome. It was, God, what was that song? Oh, The Greatest Song in the World. That was the song. And then right after that, they were going to do a movie. And the director from the music video was actually directing this movie. And they asked me if I wanted to do it or if I wanted to come meet on it. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do a movie because it takes you like off. I had just moved to LA recently and like then you're off the market for like 6 months. And so I don't know. They sent me the script. I read the script and I went in to meet the director and producers. We started talking about not just what they were wearing, but why they were wearing it and where it had come from. So, like, Jack gets off the bus and he's in a t shirt, and where did he get the t shirt? And what does that say about him? And all of a sudden, still, when I talk about the hair on my arm stands up because it's like, now I'm a storyteller. Now it just isn't like, what's the coolest thing? Who looks the best? What's the thing? But now I'm telling you who this guy is by everything that he has on. And so, somewhere in that meeting, in that hour, everything changed for me. And I walked out of there and I'm like, oh, I'm doing that movie. I'm going to tell this, it just changed everything. Cause like what we wear tells you who we are, like this is all, we're saying something. And so I got to have the gift of really understanding that and helping use that as an art form, as a voice. And then it changed everything for me. And so I still do. I still dress Jack now, whatever, 20
Amazing,
years
yeah. I
ago.
think you did. Did you
I love
do
him so.
His Bowser sort of like he had an in-person event? Didn't you dress him in that outfit? He was wearing a
I
really
mean, if
cool
you
suit.
would see what's behind me, if I would tilt my camera down right now, because he's
Is
leaving on
Jack
the
Black
bus
there?
tour this weekend. If you would see the flames that are behind, I just
Yes.
have it really strategically sort of placed right now
So
because
great.
we make him themes for all his press tours, and this is
I
the
just
Bowser.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually took my kids to see that movie because 'cause they're big Mario, fans, so and then I saw his press tour, that was awesome.
the
Um,
best.
that must be a blast. No, I was gonna say, actually, the subtitle of my channel is Story Through Costume,
Oh,
and this is
cool.
one of the things I try to tell people that, costume designers just don't, go find pretty clothes for the actors, they're storytellers, so thank you for clarifying
Completely.
that.
But I do feel like because, I've been into fashion and particularly men's fashion for my whole life. And I would go to the Paris men's fashion shows like before it was, trendy, whatever. And I love clothing and I love fashion. So I feel like the trajectory of my career, meaning it was like fashion, musicians, commercials, sort of was a really great lead up to being a storyteller and doing what I do, because I also just love fashion so much. So it's both things can be true at once. There can be that,
Mhm.
and you also can tell the story, which is really, I feel really lucky to have had that sort of, path to getting where I am.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I've spoken to a lot of designers. They've come out of music videos, they've come out of corporate videos, so it's a very logical sort of transition. But speaking of fashion, I noticed that you're sort of telling a bit of story with the top you're wearing today. You've got like a bit of a Fallout theme with your top. I'm just noticing. Maybe it's an
That was
accident.
not, that was subconscious. That was really
Oh, it's subconscious. Okay. So it's great. The yellow is obviously very impactful in the show.
yeah.
So I wanted to, are you ready to talk a little bit about Fallout with me?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, all right. So, how did it happen? Like, I know, so Amy Westcott, she was the designer in season one, and then you came in on season two. So, how did that transition happen?
They moved from East Coast to West Coast, and she did a great job on her season. I watched it. I just watched the show and was like, wow, I thought she did such a good job. And then I was tasked with, you know, that was the jumping off point. But the beauty about our show is it isn't one thing. It's a yes and. So like
Mhm.
what she did is amazing, but I didn't have to, it wasn't like I was doing season 2 of a medical drama or something. Like it was literally just like she had done some things and I got to do completely different things on my season. We created so many different things. So we just got to yes and her season, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so then what was that like for you? Like, because I guess like I'm not a gamer, but I guess season two is based on Fallout Vegas, New Vegas. Is that correct? So it's sort of a new game.
Yeah, I'm yes, and
Okay, okay. I'm not a gamer, so I'm just
I
I'm
mean,
turning
it
to you.
is, but it's that and more. So
Okay.
it's like there's a lot of stuff that's based on the game, and there's characters that are in the game that we based our designs on, but we got to sort of add steroids to that a little bit and like, add life to it a little bit. So I did, the fans are so devoted to the game. And so I wanted to make them happy and I wanted them to recognize a person. Like we had a little cameo of like the Voltec salesman dude walking there and people noticed it. It was a little Easter egg and people saw it.
Wonderful.
We were exactly true to him. Like we did him. We made the hat like we did him like he was in the game. Even though it wasn't a speaking part, it was just like a flash of him. But we wanted to give that to the gamers, to the people that love the game. And then there's the Barb at work, or Coop. There's all these other things that didn't exist in the game that I got to create and try and be cohesive with the idea of the time period and the idea of the game, but we weren't beholden to have to make it
Mhm.
one specific thing.
Yeah, what do you call this time period? It's sort of like it's a 1950s feeling, but it's actually future retro. Is it what's the
Yes.
title you give that?
I mean, there's so different people call it different stuff, but it's definitely future retro. And
Mhm.
we just think, if time stopped sometime in the 50s, if everything sort of stopped with the idea of the 50s, then what would be left? So
Mhm.
so we try not to use anything past there as our silhouettes or, as inspiration. But it isn't like, oh, well, this is 1952 and now it's 1957. So you can't use the this or it isn't really that. We're like 50s,
Mhm.
best idea wins, 50s, the spirit, but it's not exact. And that's really gives us creative license and it gives us a little bit of room to be more, to have more fun with it than if I was doing a true period drama and you're like, really, no, the lapels were only this big. They can't be this big. It's this tie, not that one. So it gives us a little something to
Yeah,
play.
and then you can't then the historians can't come after you like they sometimes do with historical,
Yeah.
because because it's sort of like it's sort of a mixed genre. It's like sci-fi. It's sort of a little bit of horror. I don't know. That's why I love it so much. It's funny that I'm not a gamer, but this type of show is like my wheelhouse. I absolutely adore this type of theme.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you about, because like you have to deal with so many timelines. There's, different worlds. You're dealing with different factions.
Yeah.
So how did you approach designing those to make it feel authentic? Like it feels very grounded, right? So how did you do that and make everything feel sort of cohesive? Sorry, that's a very large question to ask
It's
you.
okay. It's funny that you say grounded
I
because I
do. I
don't know
feel it's
about.
pretty grounded.
Okay, I like that you're saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the thing is I only have my own eye, right? Like I
Mhm.
can't do it any other way than how I see things. So it's just like it's cohesive because whatever I'm doing is from my perspective and I'm trying to, keep in mind the bigger picture. But at the same time, we have different palettes for different factions and different areas. There's a lot of, tentacles to this show. There's a lot of things which keeps it really exciting to design and really creative to design. It is definitely not one thing. So I don't know. There's the dust and the dirt and the grime and like an overall just sort of dusty palette to everything on the surface, right? And all the current stuff, and then there's the shine to the flashbacks. So the juxtaposition of those two things are really easy to, tell the difference between, because one is shiny and one is dirty, And so there's those two elements. But other than that, I don't know, we have a lot of room to play. And I am conscious of the palettes and we stick to the palettes within the factions and the places that we are. But we do have, the room to not make it one thing or even two things. The show is 100 things.
Yeah, like I just can't even imagine how like tying that all together. Because then you also have the vaulters, like, they're kind of shiny, but maybe not as shiny because they've been probably wearing their uniforms for a long time, or they're
Yeah,
upcycled kind of thing.
yeah,
And then they, of course, still have that sort of 1950s retro thing that they still stick to with the wedding dresses and so on.
yeah,
Now, I know this season you got a lot of new characters, some wonderful new characters. I was hoping we can maybe talk about. I've just got a little bullet point list. Is that okay if we go through
yeah,
them? Okay. And if I get any of the names wrong, please, I apologize. So, of course, we have Robert House, which is played by Justin Theroux.
yeah.
And by the way, I just found out his brother is a documentary filmmaker. I didn't even know that. He's got a new documentary. Did you even know he has a documentary filmmaker brother?
I did not.
Yeah, I just learned that the other day. Anyway, so by the way, Justin Theroux, I don't know what it is. He just seems perfectly at home in this look, in this retro. So did you want to talk a little bit about his character?
Yes. He, that was from the game.
Hmm.
And so we really did we had a jumping off point for him. And then we just made it really slick and really 50s. That's it. We just really like used the finest fabrics to make it all. And I mean, to say that the tone of the red tie was a long conversation and there were a lot of choices because it had to be the perfect red and the perfect blue because it's so simple.
Hmm.
His costume is very simple. There's no patterns to most of it. We did change the tie once, but it's a blue blazer. It's not navy, but it's like a
Hmm.
really true blue blazer and a cream pan, and it's very luxurious and elegant. And Justin wears clothes beautifully and understands, he knows how to wear a suit, meaning he knows how to sit in it and walk in it. And so he was the perfect person to dress in this. But, when something is that simple, every single, everything matters. The silhouette is really important. The exact fabric is really important. So as simple as this is, I actually really am in love with the way his costume turned out because it really speaks. It really says something. And it really is the guy from the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have your own team of tailors, or did you hire that out? Do you like someone special to make his suits for you?
I do have a suit maker that isn't in house. Okay, unintended.
Play words.
Um, so I have a suit maker that makes all of the suits, but we also have a great shop that we make, like, we make a lot of women's stuff and all the brotherhood stuff, a lot of that
Mhm.
was in-house.
That was really yeah, that was right. So it sounds like you custom made most of the clothing, for the show.
Definitely.
Is that correct?
De
Okay. So next we have, Lacerta Leggett,
Mhm.
who's Macaulay Culkin, and, you know, the, Caesar's Legion, which I do have a picture here. So let me find that. Where is it? Here. Here we go. So, of course, it's sort of like Roman.
Yeah.
I gather this is from the game?
Yep. It is, but we definitely took it, we had a little bit of room. There were, I don't know, like 4 or 5, no, there's more. There's like 10 different sort of levels in the Legion. And so we had pictures of that, and then we made the armor. We molded a lot of the armor. Um, and if you see the guy behind Macaulay,
Mhm.
those are like hubcaps that were used as shields. So
Yes.
there's found objects, there's molded things, there's a lot of football pads. That's like a sports helmet. So we got to mix a lot of existing things and make some new things. But Macaulay's was all molded, and it all came from yeah, it was inspired by the game.
I love it. And he's even under his sort of pauldrons or whatever, you've got like looks like horsehair or bristles or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, we made all of it. We made the skirts, we made
Um,
all of it. We had to
yeah.
find every little piece to put on the skirt, pieces. Yeah, it was really, looking at it just reminds me of how much goes into all of this, because all those Legion guys, there's a bunch of different silhouettes and bunch of different levels to them, there's names. I can share it with you, the inspiration from it, so you could see how intense it was and what we had, what our starting point was.
Yeah. And when you were doing the fittings with Macaulay, was he like, I get to wear this muscle cuirass and like, and this is going to be really fun because I'm going to have like these pecs and everything.
I mean, just fitting a lot of these people was so much fun, because it isn't like a rack of clothes and then someone walks in and they're like, "Oh, I think this character likes blue." It's not that. You're like, "This is what's happening. We made this for you, for your
Mhm.
body. This is the character." And they're all like, they freak out. They get so excited because it's so different. And it also, part of our job is helping an actor step into the costume, to step into the character. And so you can't not feel differently wearing the armor, wearing this, all these pieces, all the boots, and he had a big helmet with a faceplate that came off that we made. That was so, you can't not feel powerful. And the other one that is reminding me right now of how they felt in the fitting is Kumail, who played Xander.
Yes. I was going to ask you about that one.
Um, so he just walks in the room and there's a sketch of him as this character, and then we made this leather coat with this shearling and this, it's so badass. So it's so fun and exciting to share what we're doing with these actors, because a lot of times the first point of contact is when they walk in the room with me. If I'm developing a character with somebody and there's things to talk about, we'll have a conversation first. What do you think? Let's talk about it. And then I would pull it or sketch it or whatever. But this, when it comes from a character from the game, sort of is what it is. And so they walk in the room and they see the sketch and they see these things that are made for their body, and they put it on. And there is just a really beautiful moment in there where they see what they're doing and what we're doing. And it's really exciting and fun. It's exciting and fun for them, and equally as exciting and fun for me to watch them be excited and to just, start to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, so I know because I've been hearing this a lot. Like you have such a limited time with the cast, and so oftentimes do they have to send their measurements and ahead, and then you then try to build something for them before you even meet them?
Yeah, for sure. Or we take their measurements, someone will take their measurements, or, they're working actors. So we'll call someone from their last show and get recent measurements and do it that way. And
Mhm.
it is a scramble. It's always a scramble because it's a marathon, not a race, doing a show like this. So you are just going, it is just going, going, going. So we're just trying to dance as fast as we can to keep up with all of it.
So the next characters I wanted to ask you about are the new California Republic. I don't recall seeing them in season one. Like you can correct me, but we do have these two new characters. We have Captain Rodriguez and Ranger Bill. He plays the bad guy, and I'm gonna have to think of it. What the White
White
Lotus?
Lotus.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sorry,
He's
John
in
Grace.
so much. He is amazing.
I didn't
He's so
recognize
cool.
him at
Fits.
all, and then I said to my husband, "I know him. Like, who is that?"
John Grease, right.
John Grace. He's wonderful.
Yeah, he's great. So there was a flash in season one of a ranger, but you didn't see enough of it that it was already really a thing.
Mhm.
So, but it's in the game. It's very, like you see it, you know what it is. So we tried to stick pretty true to what that was. I got to add some elements that were kind of cool and exciting, like the boots. I got to add some cool detail to the boots, and we made our version of it. But that is one of the things that, like, I don't know, if people are really devoted to the game, I'm not doing anybody any favors by maybe it's magenta. Like, there's
Mhm.
no winning in changing any of that. So I just felt really compelled to make it as true as I could and as badass and cool as it could be at the same time. So it's, building huge shoulders into those rangers and pads underneath the coat, and just making it seem as daunting as it can be when you see that character, even
Mhm.
though Biff's version is not the scariest version of a ranger.
No. No, no, absolutely. He's kind of a sweetheart.
And he's a little dusty, and it's
Yeah.
ripped up, and we got to deconstruct it, but first you had to construct it in order to deconstruct it. So we made the rangers, and then he and Rodriguez were different versions of a combo of an NCR trooper and a ranger, and what would have happened if they were out there for years.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to ask you, so Kyle MacLachlan, he's taken all of these people and he's put the black box on their neck, and then he's made them into sort of like office drones, and you came up with this look for them. Like, so is that from the game, or is that something out of your imagination? What was that all about? It felt like Office Space or like The Office, like one of those shows, right?
Yes. I'm gonna say, wow, that one I can't. I think that was a Graham and Geneva. I think Graham and Geneva, who are the showrunner writers, genius. I think they said khakis and white shirts, button ups, and then we got to do some people with ties and some without, and we
Mhm.
had skirts for the women. But I think the idea. I don't think it was in the game, and I could be wrong, and I apologize if I'm
Sure.
wrong. But
Was it like The Gap? Was it Brooks Brothers? Like what? Like, did you buy
we
it? Did
made
you
it.
make it? You made them. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it had to be a '50s version. It
Yes, of
couldn't be
course.
like yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Even though it hasn't
absolutely.
changed that much, but the collars are different and the skirts are different and the pants, just simply how high-waisted a pant is completely different now than it was in the '50s. So, yeah. So we
Mhm.
made most of it, yeah.
And then you have this other character. She's like the worst public speaker,
Oh,
Diane Welsh. I was like, what is going on here?
oh
she's
my god.
she's like the worst public speaker. Everyone's falling asleep. So were you trying to create a look for her that was equally boring?
Well,
Just so that
yes,
we
but
kind of didn't pay
also
attention to her?
kind of
Yeah.
invisible. She's great. She was hilarious. Oh my
Oh, I
god. So
love her. Yeah.
right? But, I also, like, don't like a costume joke,
Mhm.
so I don't wanna try and tell the story for an actor. I don't wanna be funny, let them be funny. I don't so we kind of also we made her clothes and we made them fit her properly. They weren't high fashion and they weren't, extraordinary with the very best fabric. She was a working class person, who was just trying to help the world. So we kind of told that story with her, and we wanted to come underneath whatever. We didn't want it to look just because she's bumbling or falling down or whatever. You don't want her clothes to be messy or torn, or we just wanted it to kind of be clean and go away.
Mhm. Did you look to any historical figure for her, or even anyone actually? Did you on your mood boards, did you sort of say, "Oh, that maybe she was like Eleanor Roosevelt?" Sorry, I'm pulling that out of a hat. I have no idea. But you know what I mean? Like, did you have anybody on your mood boards for her or any of the other characters?
Not for her. Not for her. She was just like, you know, J.C. Penney
Yeah,
suits type
for
of thing.
sure.
Montgomery wards. I don't know. It was, basic but well fitted. I
Mhm.
tried to do. But yeah, there was a lot of inspiration for Barb and Coop. There was a lot of inspiration. We, I mean, Coop was like, the Cary Grant, Clark Gable, Frank Sinatra, all of that. Um, but the thing is we got to do that, and we got to like be inspired by, and then add some shine, and again, we don't have to be completely true to that period. So we got to take that and say, but what would this guy's version of it be? He isn't exactly anyone. He's him. So, and then you think about who Walton is, and what he can carry off, which is a lot. He can wear almost anything. So, we had a lot of room for him. And then Barb was interesting because there were some inspirations, when she's dressed up. There were things to sort of be inspired by. There was I think her name was Eunice Johnson, I think her name was, and that created Ebony. She started Ebony magazine, and she was like a
Oh,
business person.
mhm.
um, and she was iconic, and she was fashionable. So there's a drop of that, but this is also like future retro. And because she worked at Voltec, and what Amy had done in season one was very shiny, so I wanted to jump off that. So we tried to keep the shine from season one, mix in a little bit of our own. Lily Ann is a designer from that time, and like that was the perfect design inspiration for Barb. So a lot of her clothes that we built were inspired by Lily Ann pieces. And then we only rented, I think, one piece of vintage clothing for her, and it was a Lily Ann suit, which was at the casino.
Oh, okay. Was it the one that was pleated, or did you
Yep,
make that one? The
was
pink one?
pleated, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
so Barb that I
Yes,
couldn't.
absolutely.
Yeah, that I was like, I could remake it, but I don't even know that I would do it justice to make it in another color or a different
Yeah.
fabric, or to make it two-tone. And that piece so well represented how I saw that character. And it was so beautiful on her that we were like, we got to use this. And it's a piece of history. And sometimes just that, knowing that you're wearing this piece from that period, is really cool for the actor as well.
Yeah, I
So
was I was blown away by this is one thing I just find in general for things from the 40s and 50s. I was blown away by how it fastened, because there's a scene where I think she's sitting on a bed and she's wearing like a camisole underneath it,
yeah,
but she's got the jacket open.
yeah,
And I was like, how does that do up? Like, is it a crossover hook or something like hook and eye? Like, I just always found it fascinating how in the 1950s they would hide zippers, or they would
yeah.
hide fasteners. So just a really interesting, that's amazing. And it was in such great condition to be able to
Which
use
is
them.
really rare for that
Yeah.
period. Like, I did a '70s show before this, and finding pieces from the '70s that I could use and pepper in, because those fabrics were polyester. Nothing's happening to those fabrics.
Mhm.
They still look brand new. But pieces from the '50s are, I've had dresses literally disintegrate. In Lovecraft Country, I had Journey in a dress, and she was having an argument in the dress, and it was a big
Was it the
scene.
one with the French? The one where
No,
she
we
hits the
made that
car?
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have
Um,
to talk about that. I'm gonna have you back to
so
talk about that.
so she was in the dress shooting in it for a few days, and on day one it started to disintegrate. It wasn't even ripping, but the fabric was disintegrating because it was also from the '50s. And
Mhm.
so by day 3, that dress was held together with spit and glue, because there was just, once it starts to fall apart, the fabrics do not, they just, there were some natural fibers and they didn't last like the
Mhm.
70s ones. So that's why, I like to find pieces that we can pepper in. But also because this show is so stunt heavy, and, a lot of stuff happens and there's a lot of action. So a lot of it we have to make anyway, but also this is the yes and.
Mhm.
So I could find a piece like her coat from the airport that I was inspired by a Liliane piece, but I don't know, we wanted a different color and we wanted the lapel to be a little bit different. So we take that and then we decide what the barbed version is and make it.
Yeah, and then on days when, Walton Goggins is Cooper Howard, he must have been like super relieved to be able to wear these. Like he kind of seems to wear like a more relaxed fit, maybe compared to Robert House. By
Yeah.
the way, and I love the scenes with the two of them because you see this lovely like juxtaposition between the two of them. So, did you want to talk a little bit about the fit that you had for him?
I think first of all, he gets excited on the flashback days because he doesn't have to sit in that makeup chair for for
He's
his.
talked a lot about the makeup. I know, absolutely.
Um,
There's a
but
bit of
also,
powder or something. I'm sure that he probably has a bit of powder.
yeah, it's just not a lot of prosthetics, that's for
Mhm.
sure. But yeah, his clothes there, even though it's impeccably fit to him, there's an ease to
Mhm.
who he is as Coop, right? So there's an ease to his clothes in a way. Um, he wears knits. He wears a sweater and a high-waisted pleated pant with a belt and the perfect shoe. He's like, there's just something really cool about him and comfortable. He's a movie star. So, um, there's suits, but the suits are all, they have a drape to them. There's nothing stiff about anything he wears. And he's a really wonderful actor to dress and work with, and knows what he likes and has great eye. So we had a really nice time. I love the flashback stuff because we get to make it all and it's so fun.
Mhm. And I think I know you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember him wearing hats in season 1, but you had some hats for him too, or and sunglasses, like lots of great accessories. So, what were your like? Were you again sort of looking to the Cary Grants,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
for that sort of look that you had for him?
Yeah.
Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about Lucy. She's our hero, right? I guess.
Yeah.
And so she's, for most of the, I actually have a picture of her here, looking pretty soiled. People were talking about, I can't even imagine how bad in universe she would probably smell. She's been walking around the desert with this look for quite a long time. But when she comes to New Vegas, her dad picks out this pretty yellow dress for her, which I have a picture of. Did you want to tell me a little bit about the thought process behind this look?
Yeah. Um, there is a lot of pressure here. Like there's one dress and I get to put her in one dress. So there were so many, we drew so many different versions and I had so many ideas. Um, this was inspired by a dress that I had seen from the era and we mushed a bunch of stuff together. I wanted it to be tone on tone. I wanted there to be some embroidery. There's a layer of tulle netting that's
Mhm.
embroidered over the skirt here. And so I don't know. There was like a Barbie inspiration here
Ah,
that was like sort of the antithesis of what she had come from. I needed it to be really feminine and I needed it to look like very pristine because that is the opposite of her in the vault suit. But I also didn't want it to scream. I wanted it to whisper in a way. So, the idea is you look at Lucy in this dress and it's feminine, but you're still seeing Lucy. You're not seeing just the dress, if that makes sense. But it is very period. And if you see the cut of the bodice, it's very true to that period.
mhm.
So there's that, and then there's all kinds of layers underneath it to keep it, to keep that shape. And then she keeps her boots on, her black boots on.
Yes, I
And
love
so it
that.
needed to work. I really loved the idea of her keeping her boots on. So I wanted it to have something that worked to do that looked kind of cool and funky and fun.
Yeah, it's I actually love. Is it with like a Dupioni silk, or what kind of fabric is the dress?
Yeah, it's a silk
Okay.
satin.
Silk satin?
I think so.
Yeah, and you went with a
Wait,
halter too, like instead of like something with sleeves.
yeah,
She has beautiful shoulders, so I
she
can't blame you
does.
for that.
She
Yeah.
does. And also, like, I wanted to see skin and I wanted it to be feminine. You know, it's like about the dress, but not about the dress in a way. So I think
And it
it's sort
shows
of,
a bit of her vulnerability, like 'cause she's going through this arc, right? This season. She's always been the, let's communicate, let's talk, but then she starts to learn that she can't always do that. Sometimes you just have to shoot the bad guy.
that's right. That's right. Totally.
Yeah. Next, oh, and I want to talk about Stephanie because she's Canadian and I'm Canadian, so I was very excited about that. And also, oh, by the way, and you had I think it was, who was the guest star playing her mom?
Oh,
Natasha Henstridge.
she was awesome. She was great. I mean, everyone's great. Every
Yeah.
single actor is so excited to be on the show. So much fun to dress. So down for us to just like, yeah, you know, come on, let's try this. Everybody is sort of
Yeah.
open and fun. And I've never had such an experience that every single person that walks into that room is just open and excited for whatever is going to come their way.
Yeah, so we're like, we're learning about stuff as the season is progressing. So here's her shelter, her, vault look, which we've all known her as. But then we start to see her, where did she come from? And so she's in the Canadian wilderness escaping, because I guess they were annexed, which by the way, that comes too close to home as things are right now in our world. The threat of annexing Canada. But then she ends up with this, we ended up seeing her at the hotel in this beautiful outfit. She looks great in
Yeah,
everything, by the way.
she does. She is a dream. Yeah, that's her uniform when
Her
she's
uniform,
working
yeah.
at the hotel. And then, yeah, we got to make her clothes, which was so fun. And, you know, everybody loves the vault suits because it's so iconic, but
Mhm.
it's also, you know, they're wearing it for the entire season. And so coming into our room to try something different is, you know, very exciting for them because now they're getting to, you know, tell something else and kind of shift a little bit. So her fittings were really fun and making her the suit that she wears when she goes to the airport at the
Mhm.
end of the season.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite looks to make, and she was so great in it, and she was so sometimes, you know, you put an outfit on someone and they walk differently and they have, you know, just a little spring in their step, and that was a really fun one for us. That one was special.
That's amazing. Now, I mean, there's so many other costumes. So what I wanted to ask you is, sorry, let me get my question here. Were there any characters or groups that were especially fun or challenging to design this season?
I mean, I wanna say what I am particularly proud of and excited about as I continue, because 'cause we're about to go back. I'm about on Monday to start back in the office for season 3, yeah.
Okay.
Um, is that, like, I got to really create background looks and like I went in that room and dressed so many of the background to create what it was because I didn't even know what it was going to be. I had to do it myself. A lot of times you have people do the background for you and I have a beautiful wonderful team of people that dress the background, but I didn't know like for the sarsaparilla factory for the kids in the sarsaparilla factory I didn't know what that was going to be until I did it myself. So there, you know, I have to give them something to bounce off. So I went into the background area and we had all these clothes, you know, that was from the period. And then these kids started coming in and I started making every single kid into a different character. So that was just so much fun. And I spent days dressing that background. And then the whole team of background people, we all got excited and we all sort of chipped in when we saw that everyone was this one was like a little pilot and this one is a little
Oh, yeah.
sailor.
So cute.
And it was really fun for us and
Mhm.
for me to help create what those kids were and what that factory was going to look like. Because really, it could have just been a bunch of kids in rags in old clothes. And we're like, no, it's more than that. We have to do something really special. So I'm really proud of that. And then the freesiders as well. Every single person that you see on that street in the background, which you get to see a lot of, I think in the last episode, I think you
Yeah, I think
see.
I have one picture. I don't know if I have many of them there, but I can find some other pictures.
Yeah, exactly. So if
Yeah.
you look at them, each one of them is a something.
Mhm.
We never throw clothes on people. So the guy right behind the ghoul with the hat, he was he was like a um you know, at the hotel where he was like
The
standing at the
maitre d'.
hotel, not the valet guy,
Oh,
but how come I can't
the
think of the word?
concierge?
No, I'll think of it and send it to you. But anyway, he was, you know, he works at a hotel, so he's still wearing his uniform from the
Mhm.
hotel that's tattered, and maybe the pants are different because his pants got messed up, so he has a different pair. And then the woman that you see there in the fur was a high roller's wife, and so
Mhm.
she's very dressed up, and you know, so there's women that worked there. There's you know, there are guys in robes. You know, what were they wearing when the bomb went off was the question. So
Mhm.
that some version of that is what they're wearing. So we did every single person as a character of their own, even though, you know, we don't want to take away from what's happening in the foreground. There's so many background in this show, and that background itself is a character. So it was really important for us to help create this. Like, you need to know that it's Vegas, and in order for us to do that, we had high rollers, we have, you know, dealers, we have people in their uniforms, we have the cigarette women,
Mhm.
we have like Caesar's Palace looking women. We have just all these different characters. And now I'm so proud of my background team and of everybody to help create this, you know, background vibe that was so, you know, really, I'm really proud of it. And that was so much fun to do.
Yeah, and it was one thing I didn't even know until like Walton's actually, or the ghoul is actually kind of wearing pieces from his original cowboy, I think. And so everything's just like he's been in this outfit for like 200 years or so.
Yeah, it is the outfit that you
Yeah.
see in the opening. It's that outfit. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been
Just
through it.
super broken down. And then he's just picked up pieces, I guess, along the way as well. And by the way, I love Thaddeus. He's probably one of my favorite characters. He's so great. And so he's, you know, he loses an arm. Poor
That
guy.
was hilarious. He is so funny.
Yeah,
He's just
he's really
great.
funny. But
Yeah.
he is wearing sort of remnants, I guess, of his original
Yeah.
uniform, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We made him an apron for the sarsaparilla factory.
So
But
cute. That scene was great. I absolutely loved it. So much humor in this show, but still to me feels pretty grounded. I don't know, like you were saying, because you have an origin, like where do these things come from, right?
right.
Think things have been collected along the way. So we have just a little bit of time. So just maybe I'll ask you one more question. Looking back on season 2, were there any particular moments or costumes that stand out to you? This is really hard because you're picking your darlings. Anything to you like, wow, I am so proud that we did that, or like, I can't believe we pulled that off, or what have you. Is there anything in particular that you can think of?
Besides all of it, like watching the show was so shocking to me
I'm
because I was like,
sure.
oh my God, we did that, we did that, we did that. Like, there's so many elements, there's so many pieces to this show. And you forget, it's like having a baby or something. You
Mhm.
forget of, you know, how big and bold and how much we created and built, like the Legion, all the pieces of the Legion, from, you know, the animal heads to the, we had a really great specialty costume department led by Deborah Ambrosino, who is an incredible artist. And so she, you know, we made every piece of that Legion somehow or another, except for, you know, a couple of pads. But
Mhm.
you know, I'm so proud of all the big swings we took. Yes, I love, there's some pieces on Barb that we built that I love, and the Stephanie outfit that we talked about, and Lucy's dress. But the big swings that we took at these, you know, big factions, and, you know, the Brotherhood, and just, there's so many things in this show that we created. And whether you saw a piece of it or all of it, like, I know what it was, and down to the shoelaces, we chose it. So, you know, I guess I'm just proud of all of it. and my whole team, because nobody works alone. This is not a vacuum. This is, so many people held a paintbrush in order to make this happen. And I'm really proud of everyone. And we had fun while we were doing it. This is a show where you like have a good time, and you go out there on set and look at all this background and go, wow, look what we've done. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Do you know how many costumes you made in season 2? Like was it in the thousands maybe?
I'm scared to ask. I don't know.
So my final question for you then is, so you're just mentioning that you're going to be going into season 3. So this is exciting, of course. And so is that where or have you been working on any little projects aside from that during the
Well,
break that you're allowed to tell me?
my house is filled with sequins and flames from Jack Black's press tour right now, which we're about to send him off on.
Amazing. What's the press tour for?
Super Mario Brothers
Oh, so for the sequel that coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
So
Okay.
so for his press, we always do a theme.
Yes.
Anaconda was snakeskin.
Yeah.
This one's flames for Bowser. So I have a house full of flames right now behind me that for him. And then I just did some fun commercials with Steve Carell, who I've worked with forever, who I really am grateful for.
Amazing.
Yeah,
By
he's
the way,
amazing.
loved Anaconda as well. Took my kids to see that. So they
Yeah,
love Jack Black.
Jack is hilarious.
He just seems like, by the way, I saw him doing this. I think it's, I can't remember the comedian, but he did this thing where he did a walk in the Hollywood Hills. And there's this comedian who records it. And Jack, and everyone would stop and say, "Hey, Jack, how are you?" And then I think it was Kevin Nolan who said,
Okay.
do you stop and talk to all of your fans? He's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Of course I do." He just seems like the nicest person in the world.
He is. He's amazing, and I've had him in my life for a long time, and he's really great. He's lovely and really fun to dress because he's just like, yeah, okay, what's the theme? Flames. Let's go, right?
I can't wait to see it.
Really
Yeah. So anyway, well, thank you, Dayna, so much for spending time with me. What a pleasure it's been, and taking time from your day. And hopefully, it's not too hot in LA right now. I heard you guys were getting a bit of a heat wave there.
Oh, it's hot. Yesterday in my car, it said it was 101. I think it probably.
Oh my gosh!
But it was. It's hot.
And it's been below 0 where I live, like in Fahrenheit. So yeah, maybe you'll send some of your heat our way. Well, I want to thank you so much. Okay, and anyway, all the episodes of Fallout season 2 are out on Prime, so you can go binge the whole thing. I did it weekly, but I prefer it that way. But if you want to binge the whole thing, you can. And anyways, thanks for talking to us today about the show, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.